Hello and welcome to the Sports Rapport. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, your host for this show that's all about the world of sports in Vermont and beyond. Today on the program, we'll discuss the latest inductees into the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame and speak with one of them, lacrosse legend Sarah Dalton Graddock. Legendary sports reporter Mike Donoghue is here as well to talk with us about the Hall, and we'll find out more about Vermont's newest all-local semi-pro football club, Vermont Clover FC. I'm on the set with Busy Anderson, who's filling in for producer Nathaniel Wilson. Hey, Busy.
Hey, Mitch and Vermont.
It is great to be with you, and if you're with us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments which team is poised to score an upset in the first round of the NHL playoffs, and points. If you can convince me, it'll be the Boston Bruins over the Buffalo Sabres, especially after that House of Cards collapse in Game 1 last night. Busy, I have to vent here for a second.
Please.
You know I'm a longtime Bruins fan. Bleed the black and gold and all that. So I got to give you an update on what happened last night. Here's some background. In Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Bruins against Sabres. Now up in Buffalo, a hockey-mad city, by the way, their Sabres had not been in the playoffs for 14 years. That was the longest drought of any North American professional sports team. So Sabres fans were just in full throttle last night. They were so excited. The place was loud, energetic. Bruins coming in as a decided underdog anyway. Could they steal Game 1 on the Sabres home ice? That was the question. Well, I'm watching the game. Bruins go up 2-0. They take that 2-0 lead into the third period. They're playing the perfect road game. But you know what the Bruins do to me, Busy, all the time?
What'd they do, Mitch?
They break my heart by snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and they did it again last night. Tage Thompson, the wonderful forward for the Sabres, scores a goal. And after that, it all just came flooding in against the Bruins. You could see it happen. The Sabres scored 2 more times within the span of about 6-7 minutes. The place went wild. Bruins go on to lose the game 4-3. They had a perfect opportunity to steal that Game 1 and steal away the home ice advantage. But you know what? The way I'm looking at it is, I know I seem upset, and I am a little bit, but they're playing with house money, the Bruins. They really probably shouldn't have made the playoffs this year anyway, but they did. They've exceeded expectations. If they're gone in round 1, okay, they're going to get better next year. Updating you now as well on the other big game that happened for a lot of our viewers, and that would be our friends north of the border, because the Montreal Canadiens, who have not won a Stanley Cup since 1993, the last Canadian, that's Canadian with an A at the end, team to do it, they had Game 1 last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Great series there. That one went to overtime, and of course, the Habs being the Habs, they won it in overtime 4-3, and Juraj Slafkovsky, their wonderful rookie forward, had a hat trick in that one to win it for Montreal. Also want to make mention of this, Busy, because on last week's show, we had a gentleman from the Montreal Canadiens organization who used to work in their comms department. We had a little fun saying, what would be your all-time Montreal team? I'll pick my all-time Bruins team, and who would win. So we did our little fantasy teams there, and of course, in the comment section, after I did the Bruins team, I had a lot of people questioning my sanity as a Bruins fan. And so I just want folks to know, we hear you, we read your comments, and yes, the snarky ones like, someone's got to tell Ray Bourque he's a healthy scratch. I totally missed putting Ray Bourque in my pairing there. We're going to talk about this more next week. So in the meantime, if you want to send me your all-time Bruins best team, go ahead, do that, put that in the chat, and we'll make that happen there. Boston Celtics won their Game 1 round against Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA playoffs. No problem for the Celtics there. They won 123-91. The Sixers really need Joel Embiid back, but he's probably not going to play in the series coming off appendectomy surgery. So that was the biggest margin of victory for the Celtics in franchise history for a Game 1 of a first-round playoff. And I want to update you on the Boston Red Sox, by the way, who are playing their annual Patriots game day today. Starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. Good news, finally, for Red Sox fans. Currently, in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, the Red Sox are up 8-3 over the Detroit Tigers. But Busy, even if the Red Sox went on to lose that game, it's not as bad as being a New York Mets fan. My gosh, 11 losses in a row for the Metropolitans. What's going on in New York?
The New Yorkers care, and they're very upset.
Yeah, I don't blame them because the New York Mets have the highest payroll in baseball. All right, you're all caught up on some of the big major sports out there. If you're listening radio or podcast, we encourage you come hang out with us each Monday at 2 p.m. on the Sports Rapport YouTube channel. And if you want to hear more about what's happening in Vermont sports, you're in the right place. And it's time for the High Five, the segment where we count down 5 of the biggest stories from the last week in Vermont sports. And at number 5, the St. Michael's Purple Knights baseball team tied a 27-year-old school record for most wins in a season after defeating Assumption University Sunday. They took both ends of a doubleheader. Grad student Max Cullifrath walked it off for the Purple Knights with a 2-run homer in Game 1. And St. Mike's has a shot at their 18th straight victory, which would be a program best for the school if they can win against Franklin Pierce on Wednesday.
At number 4, Middlebury women's lacrosse remains undefeated after a 14th win against Amherst College on Saturday. Senior Caroline Adams has 45 goals to her name this season after tallying 4 against the Mammoths alone. Adams had a career-high 48 goals last spring, which she could very well surpass this year. Middlebury women's lacrosse finishes their regular season this Wednesday against Williams College.
At number 3, representing the Smugglers Notch free ski team, Hazen Abbott of Jericho took first place to win the under-15 competition at the 2026 IFSA Junior Freeride Championships. The annual event is held in Canada each April, and Abbott finished ahead of 59 other top-ranked male freeriders from North and South America as this year's top U15 ski rider.
At number 2, Vermont Clover FC is 3-0 in its inaugural season after defeating Dorchester City 3-2 on penalty kicks in Colchester Saturday. Oliver Nigro scored twice for the Clover, and Sean Butler had the game winner in the penalty shootout. Vermont Clover is at the top of the UPSL 1 New England division following the win, and we'll hear from Clover defender Demunga Alfani and GM Chris George later in the show.
At number 1, UVM has tapped Maureen McGarity from Holy Cross to be its new women's head basketball coach, replacing Alyssa Kresge, who recently took over at the University of Richmond. McGarity and Kresge were hoops teammates at Marist College, and get this, McGarity is also married to John Becker, the head coach of UVM men's basketball. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Sarah Dalton Graddock. Stick around on the Sports Rapport. Welcome back to the Sports Rapport. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, and I'm here with Sarah Dalton Graddock, who has been inducted into the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. Sarah, thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Report today.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations. What a great honor. How does that feel?
It's awesome. I'm a proud Vermonter. It's great to be able to reflect back on my career as a high schooler and throughout the college ranks. And then obviously I'm really lucky to be at UVM coaching.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the UVM team for a moment here. You are currently 8-6 on the season, coming off 2 big wins, so you're on a 2-game heater, which is great. That includes a 14-4 win over Albany, right?
Correct.
Yeah, how did that feel? I mean, the team, I think, and just let me generally, how do you think the team is doing so far this year?
We're playing really well in April, which is exactly what you want to be doing. Albany was an outstanding win. We've only beat them twice before in program history. Able to clinch on Saturday a spot in the playoffs, which we haven't, been to in the past 2 years. It was senior day, so there's a lot to celebrate on that Saturday. And we have one more game, a lot to play for. So looking forward to our preparation and getting back to work.
And that game is on the road Saturday against UMass Lowell, right?
Yep.
So the Catamounts are 3-3 on the road, but 5-2 at home on Virtue Field. I mean, do you feel the difference there, having that home crowd behind you?
Yeah, I think we take great pride in being on our home turf. We've had phenomenal fans the past 2 Saturdays, and that's been great energy for us. So I didn't even know our records at home or away, but look to kind of get above 500 this Saturday first. So
you mentioned being back in the playoffs. I mean, that has got to feel good, especially for someone as competitive as you. Was it tough these last couple of years not making it?
Yeah, especially when you get a taste of what it's like and you have this expectation. 2 years ago, probably a little bit of a tougher season. Last year, we lost a lot of really close games, and our conference tournament's pretty cutthroat. We know how important each game is, and so we always have a lot of talk about controlling your destiny, and that's something that we've been able to do this season. And we have great leadership within our program, so looking forward to having just more time with this team.
Tell me a little bit more about that leadership. Who are some of the players that folks should be watching for or that you particularly love seeing run on the field?
Yeah, I think initially when you watch our team, number 11, Lydia Doraz, is someone who's going to catch your eye. Attacker for us, does a lot in terms of her distribution, but as well as scoring. Really speedy, big part in our transition game, as well as the ride, getting the ball back. So you're gonna notice her on the field. Jane Trauger, number 4, is a player who had an outstanding game against Albany, 10 points off 8 goals, 2 assists.
Wow.
So she's just another, dynamite attacker for us. But we have a really strong offense. Every kind of game we've had someone different that's stepped up, and it's nothing that is surprising to me at all. I think when you start to focus on 1 or 2 people or 3, we have other people who are able to step up and produce for us. So that's been great. And then our goalie, Ayla Shea, she's a local Vermonter junior, assumed the starting role about 12 games ago. And she has just been, lights out. Our defense in general has played really, really well. But when you have a goalie like Ayla making over 50% saves in our sport, she's been phenomenal. And being a Vermonter, I'm really proud of her.
I think that's something really interesting you just said. Over 50% save percentage for the sport, because I've always found when I've watched lacrosse, I've always felt really bad for the goalies. It looks really tough because I understand it's the hardest position in sports anyway. Look at a hockey goalie, but it just feels like they have a more difficult time. You have that larger stick, right?
Yep.
To collect the ball. But what are some of the other challenges about playing that position as a lacrosse player?
Yeah, I think the speed, the range of the shot in women's lacrosse, they can potentially be right on top of you. Minimal protection, there too. But I think just like you mentioned, goalie is a tough sport. I mean, the highs and the lows, and just the mental aspect, the confidence that goes into it. And so being able to kind of continue to rally through, maybe a goal that you let in or a mistake that might have happened. And that's just for Ayla, doesn't faze her at all. She just stays really level-headed. She's really confident in cage, and she's done well back there.
That's fantastic. Can we embarrass you for a little bit now? Because I got to talk about your outstanding career in high school, playing for Middlebury. You must follow the Middlebury team still, I would guess, as an alumnus. Right?
Yeah, I do. Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had a great career there. You go to BU and you break all kinds of scoring records for the Terriers. Do you still hold the record for most goals and points total?
I think so, yeah. I think career and season I still do. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that's astonishing. And also for Notre Dame, right?
Coached at Notre Dame.
You coached at Notre Dame, yeah.
So no records there.
Okay,
but,
yeah. But still being a part of the Irish and that great sports tradition there. So, as you're playing the sport, one of the things that I've always loved about lacrosse, whether it's the men's game or the women's game, and they are very different because the women's game doesn't have the body checking. I think it's more emphasis on skills, speed. But the cradling of the ball with the stick, it reminds me so much of hockey. And you played hockey growing up, right?
I did, yeah.
Do you still love ice hockey?
I do. I tell everybody it's my favorite sport.
Is that right?
Yeah, I started playing it when I was young. Big part of my family. My older brother played at Middlebury College. My husband played in college and then, professionally overseas. So it's still kind of in our blood. And this was my first year actually getting back into a women's league and playing. So it's a lot of fun being out there.
Well, that might be the only thing that you and I have in common, and it's my favorite sport too. I can't really play it. I've never been a good skater, but I do love floor hockey. Hockey's just amazing. But I do wonder about those similarities, again, with the stick handling. Your stick handling as well in lacrosse too. You have to have such an amazing amount of skill, the strength to carry that stick, the ball, and then, of course, to make the incredible passes, right?
Yeah, I think, hand-eye, using the stick as an extension of your body. It's really easy to tell even now when I'm out recruiting or girls on my team, you can tell who has been a hockey player before and just how they hold their stick, shooting, cradling, different things like that. So there's a lot of, kind of overlap in those two sports as well as a lot of other sports. I
have to ask, after everything you've done in your career and still, you seem to really enjoy coaching because you've been at UVM now for a while, since 2017, right?
Yeah, this is my 10th season.
Unbelievable. And of course, you coached the team to its first ever America East Championship. That must have been incredible. In 2022?
Yes, yeah.
What did that feel like to have done that?
It's hard to put into words. I was really lucky as a player to win championships, but as a coach, it's just a different perspective. And, just honestly seeing the joy on my team's faces and the energy that they had and the love that they had on that day. And as I told them, they're champions forever. But it's really cool when you get to kind of take a step back and you're the one that gets to observe that, and it's really hard to win. It's really hard to win a championship, and yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it sure is hard to win a championship, and it's also hard to make the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. But, I got to say, your friends, your family must be so proud of you at this moment, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thanks for sharing your insights with us here on the Sports Report, and good luck to the Catamounts next week and into the playoffs. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Sarah Dalton Graddock, and we're going to be right back with Mike Donoghue to talk more about the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. Stick with us. Welcome back to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, delighted to be here with Mike Donoghue. Mike is the Communications Committee Chair for the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame, but you probably know him better as a veteran Vermont journalist. If you have been in the state of Vermont any time in the past 40 or even 50 years, you have probably read something with his byline on it. Mike Donoghue, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let me talk a little bit more about this year's inductees into the Sports Hall of Fame. But first, tell me a little background on the hall itself. How did all this get started?
Well, there are several people back, they've talked about it in roughly back 2010 or so, about having a Hall of Fame, and Dave Hakens, Mal Borite, Ted Ryan. There were other people that got involved, and Rick Milliken. I'm leaving names out, I'm sure, but they all came together and they finally said, we've got to do it, Yeah. And this is a interesting Hall of Fame because there's no building. What the board of directors decided is that we wanted to put an emphasis on a charity. Our designated charity is Prevent Child Abuse Vermont, which impacts all 14 counties. The money, we've raised over $37,000 to go to that charity during that time.
Fantastic.
And so it's not a lot of bricks and mortar. It's more and I think the inductees get excited when they hear that, that the dinner raises money for such a worthy cause and everything like that.
So the dinner
we've
does
had
happen.
150 inductees through the years. So this is our
not bad.
13th class, and boy, there's an awful lot of people still in the waiting to get in because we've got so many great stories out there to.
Yeah, there's a rich history, a wide variety of sports in Vermont. Let's get into some of the folks who are going to be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. Who are some standout names to you?
Well, Jake Agna, who coached at South Burlington High School for 38 years and won countless championships and everything like that in tennis. Jake is well known in the area for coaching tennis and everything like that. Kids on the Ball, he does summer camps in Burlington. And he's a real ambassador for the sport. And he's gone to Cuba, I think it's 31 times. They built or rehabbed a facility down there so kids in Cuba could learn how to play tennis. I mean, it's just a phenomenal record that he's had. And he was nominated for the Dave Hakens Award that goes to somebody who's a real ambassador and has done a lot of good in the community and everything like that. We have a historic figure that we try to find people in, and this is one of these little nuggets that nobody even knew existed in Vermont. But a guy named Fenric Watkins broke a lot of racial barriers and everything like that. He's from Burlington, went to Burlington High School, first African-American believed to have captained any sports teams in Vermont.
Huh.
And I believe it's he did all three sports at Burlington High School, baseball, basketball, football. Went on to the University of Vermont, was a captain up there. Went out to North Dakota, became a football coach, and did that for a while and everything like that. And
this goes back to the early part of the 1900s,
yeah,
right?
1900, early 1900s. Nobody knew this guy had really ever existed or anything like that. I know Burlington High School is starting a Hall of Fame, and they've asked us about all our research and everything like that. So it's a phenomenal story. And there's a lot of these nuggets in Vermont that we are hearing about, and we've got to do research, and we're looking for nominations. I should say that our nominations all come from the general public usually. So if anybody's out there listening, we're glad to accept nominations. It's a rolling application, so we take them throughout the year. At some point, there's a cutoff, and we have to figure out for the coming year and everything like that.
It's a great way to learn about people like Fenwick Watkins, too. You reach out to the community, get that institutional knowledge. So many years of Vermonters, they know this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So we got a couple others. A well-known sports writer, Tom Haley from the Rutland Herald, who's covered a lot of these inductees themselves. He actually wrote a book that has some of the great spots in Vermont that he stopped at.
A destination kind of
a
book?
destination kind of thing of, when he was covering a game in Arlington or up in Barton or something like that, he would find a place. There's Dick Falconbush, St. Michael's College standout basketball player.
Classic
who will be
name.
Inducted. He probably behind Rich Tarrant is the second best player in St. Michael's history, was drafted by the NBA, the ABA, and the Continental Basketball League. So he got drafted by 3 different professional
Not a lot of
leagues.
people can say that.
Yeah. A little tidbit that nobody, Rich Tarrant obviously was drafted by the Celtics, but Falconbush has 3 professional teams chasing him. And then he went on to coach locally here and ended up at Burlington High School as a coach, where he also taught and everything like that. So he's going in. There's other legendary coaches. Mickey Heineken, the football coach, longtime football coach at Middlebury, will be inducted this Saturday. Mike McShane, longtime hockey coach at Norwich University. We've got our first wrestler, Steve Forrest, 4-time state champion, New England champion from Mount Anthony Union High School in Bennington, went on into college, wrestled in the Marines, national wrestler.
I was a little surprised to find he was the first, because there's such a rich history of wrestling tradition here in Vermont.
Mount Anthony, I've lost track. What was it, 32 or 36 straight years at school?
Before Spalding
until
upset him.
Spalding knocked him off this year, which is a story in itself. And a lot of people get nominated, and there's a threshold voting-wise that they may not make it. There's a lot of the people who may not have made it in so far that will come back around again, I'm sure.
So it does work like the baseball voting, where you're not done if you don't make the first cut.
If you don't make it your first year, you're considered for the next couple of years. You may go off the ballot for a couple of years and then come back around again. We find that we've got a ton of basketball players, and that's one of the things that the board tries to do, is really try to be as diverse and everything like that with the sports. Last year, we put in our first horseshoe thrower,
Yes.
which, I mean, it's a classic, and we're looking for sports. I mean, we've got equestrian. I mean, this Hall of Fame is not a baseball, basketball, football.
Right. It breaks down to a lot of different,
I mean, I should have counted, but, we're up to, 16 sports or something like that, probably, that we've actually picked people in for cross country, or we got a historic one like Clarence DeMar, who's won more Boston marathons, which today the marathon is being run. So it's
That's
appropriate
right, as
that
we're
we
speaking,
mention he is one of the historic people. We've got a couple Olympians going to be inducted this week. Susan Dunkley, whose father is actually in, and her uncle, Tony Robitaille, who's a boxer, the first boxer to go in, is going in. Hannah Carney will be inducted this Saturday.
All she did was win a gold medal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably worthy of getting into the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame.
So, we've got a good group. Mary Heitkamp, both a track and long distance runner, Fairhaven Union High School, went on to Boston College and She will be inducted. We've also got Matt Rowley, the Rowley family up in Missisquoi. The three brothers were actually put into the Vermont Principals Association Hall of Fame all in the same night. But Matt, for his baseball and for his college coaching, will be inducted this Saturday.
Is there any connection there that you said Raleigh? Is there a connection to Cal, of course?
That is his, now I'm going to get it wrong. That is his uncle.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, all he did was just wow the baseball world last year and almost made it to the World Series with the Seattle Mariners, of course.
Yeah. So there's, and again, you know, when you're watching Major League Baseball and you see him and you have, there's a trail back to Vermont. So
I love that.
You know, it's just like Carlton Fisk, you know.
Yeah.
He was
snake your
born
way
in
around
Vermont,
there.
in Bellows Falls.
That's right.
But he's
that's
from New Hampshire. But, you know, we always like to have our little claim to Vermont sports. Sometimes.
Any way we can take it. Anyway, Mike, I understand, too, that there's a book that's been produced called Green Mountain Gold, the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. And I think you got a copy there, actually.
That's it. We've had 2 editions already. And so what we do is every 5 years or so, we will add the last couple of classes to it, and it will have a bio. And what's wonderful about this is that the Pizzigalli Foundation donated money so that we could have enough of a printing so that this book is in every single high school library and every town library in Vermont. And so it was a way to inspire kids that, you know, hey, your dreams are possible out there, that, you know, you may be in the Olympics someday. You may be like Sarah Dalton Graddock, go play at Middlebury and then go on to college and then become a coach. I mean, this is designed to be, wow, look at
Inspirational.
This. Inspirational is exactly what it is. And
I love that.
You know, and obviously the Cochrans, I mean, are all in the Hall of Fame. I you know, there's so many people to mention, you know, the little tidbits of who has the most. Well, it's the Cochran family at this point. I don't know who's might catch them, but
tough to catch.
Tough to catch. And we got, and I should say, Ryan Siegel Cochran is not in there yet because you have to be 40 years old to be considered.
I was wondering about that myself.
So
Glad you
you
pointed
end
that
up
out.
with a situation where we've got some people that we know are in the wings.
Right.
But
they'll be there.
They will
not
be
quite
there
yet.
and everything like that. We get letters. How come so-and-so isn't in the Hall of Fame? Well, they're not 40. And but you're glad to nominate the person, so please send us a full letter of why you think the person should be in there.
I think that's a great idea.
We get it.
So 12 inductees for this year's Hall of Fame. Have we covered them all? I think you mentioned all the names.
I think we have. I hope.
And it was great to talk to Sarah.
Did I skip somebody? I must have skipped somebody, but
I hope not. Well, we'll make that correction in next week's show if we have to. We should mention too that you said at the beginning here there is no physical building for the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame, but the dinner will be held this coming Saturday. And where's that going to happen?
This at the Delta Marriott on Williston Road in South Burlington. They have been the host of our banquet from the beginning, and tickets are still available. The deadline is Tuesday afternoon, so if people are seeing or watching this, please scramble. Go to the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame website, and there's a link right there.
Yep.
You can PayPal it and go from there.
Okay, and it starts what time on Saturday?
5:30 is a reception. You can meet the Hall of Famers,
Nice.
and 6:30 there'll be the dinner, and then the induction follows.
I have to mention, since we're talking about the Hall of Fame, I need to embarrass you a little bit the way I embarrassed Sarah. You are in 5 Halls of Fame yourself for your journalism reporting. This includes a charter member of the New England Press Association's Hall of Fame, a member for the Society of Professional Journalists National Freedom of Information Coalition Hall of Fame, and in 2013, you were the New England Journalist of the Year, as voted by the New England Society of News Editors. When you think back, Mike, on your career, I mean, you've done crime reporting, you've done so many exposés, you've done investigative reporting, but sports reporting too. Is there a particular love for sports reporting? Do you find it different in any way?
Well, it was funny because I started in sports when I was a senior in high school, writing for the Free Press. Then I went to news, and then I went back to sports, what was going to be a 2-year thing. And 2 became 4, 4 became 8, and 8 became 12. And I was having so much fun. And it was just phenomenal. It's great meeting the kids and the parents. And as I often used to say to people, I said, I get thank you notes from the parents for making their kids, putting them on the Free Press All-State team or something like that. And I said, I never got thank you notes from the boys down at the correctional center for covering my murder trial or anything like that. So
yeah, I can see the difference.
But no, there was a lot of big stories. I mean, obviously, one of the bigger ones that I broke was the UVM hockey hazing scandal.
Yep.
Which, to this day is probably one of the biggest sports stories in Vermont. But there's so many stories. There's a woman named Mackenzie Pratt who I got to know, high school kid from Lamoille Union, developed cancer. Met her at the hospital. That was the first time I met her. And she went on, had a phenomenal career at Lamoille Union, went to Norwich, had a phenomenal softball career there. Fortunately, the cancer came back, and she passed away while still at Norwich. And that's probably one of the hardest ones that you sort of remember. She had so much to live for, and just a wonderful.
Well, the human stories that come out in sports reporting are just phenomenal, and it reminds me of another gentleman that I know you know very well, the late Dave Morris, who also just made kids feel like stars, and I think that's something that you've been able to do well in your career as well.
It's so good to be able to write about kids and the positivity that they have, and sometimes it's the kid who is the sixth man on the team that ends up doing something good, and it's not the big star. And it's nice when you can actually write about somebody further down the bench. I really enjoyed some of those kinds of stories and everything like that.
Well, I'm glad that you've enjoyed it over the years, because we've enjoyed reading your bylines and the information that you have brought to so many folks here in the state of Vermont. And thank you for updating us on this latest inductee class for the Vermont Sports Hall of Fame. Again, Saturday, it's going to be at 5:30 at the Delta Marriott Burlington Hotel. Check it out there and meet some of these great athletes. Mike Donoghue, thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Report today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mitch. Good being here.
You bet. And stick around. We're going to be right back with hearing from folks with Vermont Clover FC, the newest semi-pro football club in the state of Vermont. Stick with us. And welcome back to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, and I am here with Chris George and with Demunga Alfani, and they are both with Vermont newest soccer club, the semi-pro club, Vermont Clover FC. Thank you both for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Mitch.
Thank you.
Yeah, and listen, Chris, I got to start out by saying congratulations. You could not have got this team off to a better start. 3-0 to start your fledgling year. How's that feel?
It's pretty exciting. I can't take a whole lot of credit. I mean, that's Coach Brian Buchek and the coaching staff have done a really good job.
You're founder of the club, man. I mean, come on. This is good.
Yeah, again, couldn't do that myself either. And Brian helped with that. And I want to give a lot of credit to Trey Bosworth, who helped found the club, and Shane Buffano also, who helped me found the club. But we really it's been really exciting. And to go on the road and win the first game, and then to come back to St. Mike's and have, 400 people at the first game at home was unbelievable.
That's pretty great. I mean, listen, you're striking at the right time because obviously soccer is so big right now in the state of Vermont. You know this too, Demunga, as well. You've got the UVM men winning the championship a couple of years ago. You've got Vermont Green, of course, winning their championship. But tell us about the sort of the mission behind Vermont Clover FC, because what's unique about this club is it's pretty much all local, right?
Yeah, basically, our whole mission was to try to get the best players, Vermont players, together to play. All guys that have played against each other their whole lives, whether they're from Vermont and grew up in Vermont or they're playing at Vermont colleges and are going to put roots down in Vermont. We think Vermont soccer is pretty good. And what an opportunity to build a team that we wish we had to play in when we were younger, when we were in college or when we were younger than that. And to give these guys an opportunity to really show the best of what Vermont has to offer.
And to be clear, there are some players from the North Country, right, included on the team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our kind of through line is, do you have Vermont soccer roots? So the guys from Plattsburgh that play at Plattsburgh State and live over there, they both played at Vermont clubs when they were youth clubs, and one of them played in Vermont's ODP program, which is really cool. And Henry, who was in the picture that you showed, he's from Westport. He played at Peak Football Academy in Vermont for a while. So that's the kind of through line, is really strong Vermont soccer roots.
Wow, it's pretty great. Demunga, first of all, I have to apologize. We had identified you as a defender before. I think you played defender back in your days with Colchester in high school. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was your career like at Colchester High? Did you just fall in love with soccer there, or have you been playing it even earlier all your life?
I started playing soccer when I was a kid. It runs in my family. I started when I was at the age of 2.
Wow.
So I've been playing for a while now. So, yeah.
And you're a forward with Vermont Clover now, right?
Yes.
And how are you doing on the season so far? How's it feeling?
Good. It's good to play with people that I've never played with, because it's a team that have guys from different area in Vermont. So, yeah, that feels good.
Fantastic. Yeah. Are you from Tanzania originally? Is that what I read?
Yes, I'm from Tanzania, yes.
Fantastic. When did you move to Vermont?
2018.
2018.
That's when I moved here, yeah.
Excellent. And, what do you think about Vermont? I mean, how has it been a welcoming place for you? Or?
I mean, at first, where I lived, it was really warm. Then coming in Vermont, it's freezing out here.
Yeah, the cold kind of gets to you, but you're not used to it a little bit.
But I'm kind of used to it now, and I kind of like Vermont. So, yeah.
What's the dynamic like on the team this year? Obviously, all these players with Vermont roots, as Chris is talking about. Do you guys sort of bond together over being from Vermont? Are you creating an identity out of that?
I mean, we bond together, yeah. We try to, because the chemistry is what matters in a game.
Yeah.
So we try to get together off the field and on the field, to bond together and just get the team chemistry out there. So
I would imagine that your team in Colchester was really good. But I also imagine that, coming now to play in this semi-pro club, you're seeing a level of competition that is a lot higher than that. What was the transition like? Or has this been the most competitive soccer you've ever played?
High school is much different than the league I'm playing in right now. So transferring from high school to college and the UPSL it was tough for me at first, but I'm kind of getting used to it. Because in high school, I was the big guy, but now I'm small compared to guys on a team.
Big fish, small pond, and then it turns around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Supportive, though, I would imagine, right? I mean, your teammates, you got to have each other's backs.
Yeah, a lot. We support each other in every single different way. Just be better every day. So, yeah.
Chris, what was it like getting together? You mentioned the coaches before, putting together this team. What were you looking to do? Who did you go to and say, hey, I want to start this thing, but, I need X, Y, or Z?
Yeah. The idea really came from Trey. And when we started thinking about could we do it, it was really is this something that the players want? Because our goal really is to be player-centric. It's all about the guys. And if we can put them at the forefront of what we're thinking about and create as good an experience for them as possible, then we're going to have the best soccer on the field we can. Yeah. One of the first people that I actually talked to about it is John O'Connor, who coaches at Castleton. And the conversation was I've got this idea. It's been kicking around for a while. What do you think? And he said, we've got guys that would absolutely do that. His son plays in the team. He's Michael would be into that. And he started kind of going. And then I saw them, my college team played them a couple of weeks later, and one of the first players I actually talked to about it was Demunga's older brother, Jacques, because he'd played in the game, and I'd coached one of the Twin State games that he played in, and he said, "Hey, Coach, I hear you might be putting a team together," and we talked for a couple of minutes, and so I knew right then that there was going to be the interest in doing it, and that we would be able to really do something for these guys, and from there, we just kind of used our pretty large network of players and coaches and just said, "Hey, we're doing this thing. You got any guys that kind of fit this mold and would be interested?" And we thought we would have 30 or 40 guys interested, and we'd have to go find all the best players to pull them in. But the list is, 100. We had something like 130 guys that were interested to do it.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The response from the players has been unbelievable.
Well, that's a good problem to have, I guess. But you had to weed a lot of people out, right? I mean,
yeah, yes and no. I mean, we want to provide that platform for everybody, so we decided to do a second team in the Elite 11 Adult League because part of the value is playing in the games. But for a guy that's playing in college, the real value is being able to train with other good players also.
Yes.
After your spring season's over and you're not at school anymore with your teammates, you just, go home and do the running for the summer. And that's not that much fun. It's more fun to be able to train a couple of times a week. And then you can get some good games in there too. And you get to have that community. And our hope long term is that, these are guys that are going to stick around in Vermont at some point, maybe right after, or maybe in the future, they're going to be coaching. We hope that we can help these guys really build that big network amongst each other because we're trying to really just have that next generation of coaches, players around being able to, it's a ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our contribution to Vermont soccer is being able to provide a great experience for these guys so that in the future they'll be able to provide a great experience for the next group of people in Vermont.
Demunga, I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, do we have you in Vermont for the next 20 years of your life or whatever? But I have to imagine that, where are you at right now in your life in your terms of what your goals are and what you want to do with soccer and other things?
I'm a freshman at St. Mike's right now. And the goal is to potentially play professional if I get a chance to. So I wouldn't personally say that I'll be here for long. Hopefully not. So, yeah.
Again, we're not holding you to anything on the show today. We want you to be yourself. Yeah. But we're so glad that you're enjoying your experience. What's it like, the support at St. Mike's on that campus? I know that sports is a pretty big deal at St. Mike's. We talked before about the baseball team is doing great. The men's and women's soccer teams have been doing really well. So you're in that culture. You're sort of surrounded by all the success, right?
Yeah. Being at St. Mike's is it's fun and good because everyone there is just so supportive in every way.
Nice.
Wherever you go, somebody will be there to help you. Either school-wise, sports-wise, whatever you need, they're there to help you. So,
were you surprised about the showing for the first home game? Because that was a big win for you guys.
For Clover?
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, because it's just a regular game where not so many people go to regular games, so seeing that many people out there, I was surprised, but.
And winning doesn't hurt either, right?
No.
I mean, you guys won that one pretty handily. I'm guessing. Was that a 4-0 win, or am I thinking of a different game there?
Yeah, that was the one. That was 4-1, 4-0. Yeah.
Nice. What's the identity of the team right now? I mean, do you feel like you're a more offensive focused team? Do you clamp down on teams defensively? It seems to me like you've got a pretty high powered offense, having scored a bunch of goals in the first few games.
So the guys come and go for the games. So every different game, there's a different squad. So I would say some days it's offensive, some days defensive. It just depends on the game and the roster that's playing in the game, honestly.
Find a way to win. Yeah. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, I'm curious about the league that you're in because, I looked at the New England division and what you've got 8 teams in that division.
Yeah, that's right.
I think. Then you look at the league overall. It's huge.
It is.
What's going on there? There's a Florida division conference. There's tell me a little bit more about this total league that you're in.
Yeah, the UPSL is really cool because it is a semi-professional league and it has actual promotion and relegation, which is pretty cool. So we come in Division One, and if we perform well enough, we can get promoted into the Premier Division for next year, that's the goal.
Just like soccer Premier League, all Championship League, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, we occupy that same kind of fourth tier of the soccer pyramid in the USA, which is similar to what USL 2 is. So we really want to get to the Premier Division. But what's really great about the UPSL is relatively low barriers to entry, which is one of the reasons that we did it. And there's so many teams. So we've got, for us in our first year, Division One, we win New England, and that's kind of it. But if we were to be able to go to Premier and then win our division in Premier, we could advance out of New England and be in a national championship tournament, play in the Open Cup. All these things exist. So having so many teams like that really makes for an interesting league. And some of these teams have incredibly well attended games. They put on a really great thing, and we want to. One of our goals is to try to set the standard in New England for what's possible. We can see what Vermont Green's doing, and they're kind of setting the standard almost nationally.
They sure are.
For USL2, and we want to create that same standard, not to the degree that they're doing it, but the highest standard that we can, so that the other teams from New England are really excited to come play us. I overheard when we were breaking down the stadium the other day, one of the players from the other team say, "This was incredible. I've never played in front of so many people," and that tells us we're doing something right.
Absolutely. I mean, did you expect 400 fans in that first home game?
I hoped for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people came that, you pre-sell a certain amount of tickets and you have season ticket holders. So, you have an idea of what you think is going to come.
Sure.
And then when, 100 more people show up, it's pretty exciting. And then to have another 400 or so show up again on Saturday, it's just really exciting.
Yeah, that's really great. So again, explain to me, if you win New England, your division this year, let's say you win the whole thing. Hope you do. What is the next step then to get to that point you were talking about where you can maybe get up into the next tier?
Yeah, we just have to win. Our season ends in early June, and then there's a couple of weeks worth of playoffs.
Yep.
And then if we win the playoffs, we would go up into Premier Division.
Okay.
Which is exciting.
And Demunga, I'm guessing you play for the St. Mike's team as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So how much does this help you, having kind of this extra soccer to play? You're playing meaningful games. You're playing against really great competition. Is that helping your college game as well?
It is, actually. So on a team, there's different guys from different levels. So playing with them really helps a lot. Getting their touches, playing every day just makes me better. At least that's what I want when I play soccer. So yeah.
Always improving. Do you have any stars or athletes that you look up to in the soccer world or beyond?
Probably Ronaldo is one that
I've heard of him. He's pretty good.
I look up to every day. Yeah.
What about other sports that you enjoy?
I run track.
Nice.
But
what do you run in track? What are your events?
100 meter. That's
Okay.
what I run. That's my main event. So yeah.
So yeah, you're pretty busy between academics and all the running and soccer and everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, I wish you the very, very best of luck. Continued success with Vermont's FC, the Clover. By the way, great name, by the way. Love your colors, too. The pink and the green. Looking great. Did you pick those, Chris?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that was you? Yeah.
A lot of people, I was asking Demunga about this in the lobby, about what he thought. My idea was I wanted it to look like a red clover flower. That's a Vermont state flower. That's our name. So I was like, okay, they're pink on the top and they're green on the bottom. And when I would tell people, they would say, I don't know, Chris. And then they see it and they think, actually, it's pretty cool.
It works. It really does. And thank you for reminding me that, yes, it is the Vermont state flower. I totally forgot about that connection.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The whole vibe. We're growing the people. These are our little flowers growing.
Fantastic. I love that. I wish you continued success. Demunga, Alfani, thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Rapport. And thank you, Chris George, as well. And continued success to Vermont Clover 3-0. You could go undefeated. That'd be awesome.
It would be. Thanks, Mitch. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great to have you here today. Thanks for joining us on the Sports Report. And thank you for tuning into the Sports Report. If you've missed any of today's show, you can find it on our YouTube channel. You can also catch the show on Vermont Public Radio on Monday nights at 8, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. Find out more about the show and how to get in touch with us at vermontpublic.org/sports. The Sports Report is a production of Vermont Public, produced by Nathaniel Wilson. The technical director is Mike Dunn, with Joey Palumbo on graphics, Holt Albee on cameras, and video production assistance from Dave Rice and Brian Stevenson. Our audio engineer is Jake Rusnock. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, your host for this program that's all about the world of sports in Vermont and beyond. Thanks for watching, and join us again next week on the Sports Report.